Do you believe there's anything as a starving artist? Do you believe in that phenomenon that there's starving artists, or you as a creative are probably gonna be a starving artist? And basically, what I mean is not necessarily just like denying yourself of material things to sacrifice. But that because you're pursuing art, you will not make it in life, or you will not leave the poverty space. I personally don't believe in anything such as a starving artist.
Hakuna msee atakusaidia, ukijisaidia atakukazia. Isi mshuto, mimi nasafisha hewa, ongeza speaker, mimi nachachisha hewa, usinipoint kwa
I firmly know that it's a narrative that has been ingrained on us from the educational systems, and it's not just a Kenyan thing. It's a global thing that, because you're an artist, you'll always be a certain level in the space. A majority of artists, of course, we have standout artists who are billionaires. The other day I was recording something with my wife. We started talking about what that unlearning process is like, or why that programming actually functions to make us a certain way, or to believe that we can't be able to succeed. So I'll give you a scenario. You have 10 kids in a class, right? They're all taught the same thing, most of the times the same way, but they're all different in gifting. And they're programmed that way from kindergarten all the way to university. And what that does, aside from making their gift feel small, it actually beats down their confidence and makes them feel, okay, maybe if I suggest something, it's not gonna be allowed because the system, or the education system that is, doesn't accommodate my level of gifting. Amongst the things that makes economic crisis is skill mismatch. Of course, outside poor management of resources and such like things. If you look at the root cause of skill mismatch, it starts from when we're young. You're always told this is the way to go, this is how you need to do it, even if you're not particularly gifted in such a thing. Or maybe you could be, but how you need to be taught is probably different from what they're teaching or how they're teaching. I remember in high school, I was so fortunate that in high school, he was called Mr. Odhiambo, and he was our math teacher. We had like remedial, they're sort of not remedial classes because we did it before the actual classes started. He used to come with a radio to class and actually ask us, what do you guys want to listen to? Of course, it was only FM. We didn't have streaming sites at that time, but we picked the popular radio stations that played the popular music at that time. And what that did was it already broke a barrier between us and the fear of math or the fear of the teacher. And we became comfortable. We felt at home. At the end of it, we actually had a very beautiful mean grade as a class in the final exams. That's because the teacher took the initiative to actually teach us the same concepts, but using a different approach. How that's tied to starving artists is how we're taught from the get-go is faulty, and we can always be able to improve that. That's one. Two, this mindset, So if you're programmed to believe from a young age that art isn't an illustrious industry to be in, then even as you see room for success, there's a certain level of doubt that might linger. Like, how long is this going to last for? Damn, am I actually going to ask for this? I'm an artist. If you sit down in the room with CEOs, whatever, executives and entrepreneurs, you might look at yourself as less, but you really aren't. Success starts here before it goes anywhere else. If you have the wrong mindset about yourself, then you'll always feel small or less or insignificant. But if you always have a positive attitude, I know it's easy for me to say positive attitude while there's a lot of challenge in the world. I'll be honest, first of all, you're gonna get tempted to quit. You're gonna get tempted to not do. You're gonna get tempted to not be that version. You're gonna get tempted to not try. Not just once, but every single day of your life, there's something that will make you momentarily think, maybe I shouldn't wake up and record this song, or maybe I shouldn't wake up and promote my music. There's always gonna be the thing that wants to take you away from achieving your goal every single day. So with that awareness, then it becomes, how are you able to actually conquer? Starts here. Starts here. I may not be feeling like it today, but you know what? I'm gonna do it anyway. Once you do it, then what you're doing is actually making your mindset grow to a positive direction. In such scenarios, it's basically two choices, right? You either succumb to the fear or you allow yourself to anticipate. Let me explain. You've woken up and you're meant to do a certain thing, and you start thinking, what if it doesn't work? What if I look stupid? What if it's not impressive? What if it doesn't get likes? Basically, you're succumbing to the fear, which now brings anxiety, imagining things that aren't, but on the negative and allowing them to have power. But then there's this other end of anticipation. What if it succeeds? What does that look like? What if this song ends up blowing up? What does that success story look like? I wonder what car I'm gonna drive once I get that $1 million check. I wonder what house I'm gonna live in. If you think that way, of course it doesn't have to be just material. I wonder what impact it's gonna have in the people. Because you could either think on how it wouldn't work, and you could also think on how it would work exponentially, you know? And if you put your energy on how it would work exponentially, you'll find yourself actually having fuel, like, okay, cool. So you mean that if I do this, there's this possibility? I may not get that possibility today, but at least I know there's that possibility that exists. That you're making your mind actually grow in terms of a certain direction. There's a Bible verse that I want to talk about. I may not necessarily remember the specific verse, but I'll research on it or maybe put it down here. The general concept is, don't rely on philosophies that are based on experiences that aren't God-centered. Basically, don't rely on philosophies that are based on human experiences or philosophies that are based on human nature. How that's relevant to switching your mindset? We live in a time where there's access to a lot of information. If you base your potential success off of somebody else's success story, then you've sort of lost the plot. But if you base it off of your own unique self, your own unique story, your own unique narrative, and just actually being able to have faith that what you're imagining, you can actually bring it to life, then you will bring it to life. Based on having positive attitudes and positive mindsets constantly, I don't think there's anything such as starving artist. If you allow yourself to be a starving artist by the time you're done with your journey on earth, then it's simply that you allowed yourself to be a starving artist. Or you allowed yourself to live according to a narrative that isn't who you are. Artists, creatives, God-given gifts. That means we're godly in nature. And if you're godly in nature, you're always gonna be abundant. You're always gonna be great. You're always gonna be exceptional. You just have to always remember that, because then otherwise you will be eroded to believe otherwise, and that's really not it. I'm glad I've made this video. I hope you've learned a thing or two. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to ring the bell for notifications. Thank you so much.